is my reaction to Thom Paine based on nothing. This one was a bit of a doozy. I watched it in tandem with the Rainn Wilson recorded production, which was sort of a lot of fun to watch and read at the same time. Lots of little tiny changes. They would cut certain lines or even change them entirely, but usually in a pretty small fashion. On page 15, in the text, it goes, reality is funny sometimes, other times not so much, but in the production, Rainn Wilson as Thom Paine goes, reality is funny sometimes, not to me. I also, on page 15, have another note. At the top of the page, there's this sort of paragraph. I almost called it a monologue. The whole thing is sort of a monologue, I guess. But there's this section on, I see no difference. In a world filled with difference, sickening, disheartening difference, I see none. And then he keeps talking about difference, and that reminded me a lot of Derrida, which I feel like is sort of relevant to bring up, right? Because like Derrida and Difference are very postmodernist, right? Pretty explicitly and entirely, right? And so it's really like the relationship between text and meaning, and I really kind of can't see it as anything else in the context of this very postmodernist play, where there's only one actor, it's a monologue essentially the whole time, and you're subverting expectations constantly, and there's not really a cohesive plot. And even with the stories, within the stories, right, of the little boy and the woman, the postmodernist aspect of it is really at play constantly. There's only really at the end, maybe we find out that maybe Thom Paine was the little boy, because in the section where he's really swept up in emotion, right, in that direction that says the following lines all the way up to now I'm here, rise him up in ways of feelings, wild feelings, which he is just trying to withstand, where he's trying to keep himself together and keep going, giving us pieces of the beauty and horror and loneliness of his life, of life in general. And we get little lines like, my face was so swollen, making us think that he might be the boy. I should have tried more. He keeps talking about trying during the whole play. And then he starts taking on the identity of other people. He said to me, Sarah, Mary, I didn't say anything. I thought I'd get dragged up on stage. That's on 29. And he, oscillates between he hurt me, she hurt me, I bled in the night as the woman, or the young girl, right? Early on in the play. So he sort of assumes other people's identities as genuine and as if he's feeling it, like a sort of ego death of empathy. There's a whole section also on 30 that gets totally cut. The I do own a dictionary, with the biographical entries and things about dead people's lives, totally cut from the actual production, which would have revealed, I think, a little bit further if he was the young boy who wanted to be a cowboy, who was stung by bees, right, and grew up to be a sort of nothing man, which would then also sort of talk about, like, based on nothing, I guess. It's really, I don't know, this is a weird, one of the weird ones, kind of in the Barry Child section of things. It's both really ironic, but also sincere all the time. So it's like sort of post-irony, right? Because irony is like mocking sincerity, and then post-irony is ironic sincerity. Mocking, I guess, the lack of sincerity that we've had in our ironic media for a while. I guess since like 90s, early 2000s, we've been in a very ironic period. But we're sort of in a post-ironic state now, I feel like, in a lot of productions and stories. A lot of the stage directions are interesting. Like they're all phrased like perhaps. This production really kind of seemed to follow the perhaps direction as not a maybe, but as an order. And then we get a lot of like revealing things of how the actor is supposed to play it. Like Thom Paine this is on 14. Thom Paine has shown too much of his own desperate view of life and wants to undercut it somehow or try to be more positive about life. That's pretty much what I have. It was interesting the production that they would cut to the basement, right, with the speaker, and it would be this tinny audio, which is there are those sort of things in actual theaters. I when you're backstage, I know even at Ramapo we have an audio box for the stage managers to be able to hear what's happening. So yeah, that was like sort of a weird break a fourth wall that the audience wouldn't have even experienced. That was only for us. We get audio piped into B's that doesn't seem to be piped in the actual play. Audio piped into music as well that doesn't seem to be actually part of the play. So it's a unique experience that we're sort of getting here. We see him go off stage and we see him standing just next to the stage manager, not acknowledging the stage manager. There are a lot of things that they're unique to the filmed version that the audience wouldn't have gotten, just like we wouldn't have had the same experience that the audience would have had, which I think is what that's trying to say. I think that's all I have. Yeah, this was fun. I really like this one.